Story 1. I am a single dad raising my son full-time, so my primary focus is on providing for him and nurturing our bond. Past relationships have taught me the importance of finding someone who shares similar values, someone who is driven, passionate, and a great parent. Many of the women I have met seem uncertain about their goals or are deeply committed to their careers. After my last relationship, where my partner needed to focus on herself, I have realized that right now, my priority is my son and my own personal growth. During weekends when my son is with his mom, I value the time to recharge alone or with friends, or sometimes work overtime. I have had enough of being cheated on or having my heart broken. I am tired of being told I am an amazing man any woman would be lucky to have, only to have them leave. I am done with that. My love is for my son and myself now. Story 2. I love to play games in general, from video games to tabletop games to card games, everything basically. The best way to make someone not want to play is to have a poor reward-to-effort balance. And let me tell you, dating is terrible in that regard. Story 3. I'm honestly too sensitive. Being in love and it not working out hurts too much, so I just don't put myself out there. Lots of people don't understand why I'm single because I'm relatively attractive, have a stable job, my own place, and a nice car, so for them it makes no sense. I just say it will happen when it happens, which, at this rate, is never. Story 4. I don't even know how to meet women, let alone make them interested in me. I have a high-qualification job that takes me a lot of time and energy. It takes even more to take care of myself and my living place. I need time to rest and enjoy myself in hobbies that are mostly solo activities, which I wouldn't change since I love them and they are important to me. I feel physically and emotionally tired, and yet I have to do more work to try to even meet women in the first place with a low chance of success. Not everybody has the opportunity to just randomly and naturally meet women. It's not obvious how to for everyone, and I have no shame in admitting that it's not natural at all to me. Story 5. When you've been with a woman who isn't good for your health and peace, who also lies, cheats, and manipulates, men like me believe they are better and happier off alone with their peace. Story 6. I don't know. This could vary for every guy, assuming he is a straight or bisexual man who is interested in women. Some are fed up with dating because they had abusive or cheating ex-girlfriends and bad relationships with women that made them not want to bother anymore. Some have mental health issues that make dating very hard. Some make women avoid them because of unpleasant or creepy attitudes towards women, assuming the man is straight. Some rely only on dating apps and tend to have no success on these apps. Some are not blessed with good looks, which can make it hard, or they don't practice good hygiene, grooming skills, or work out and keep in good physical shape. Some avoid approaching or making a move or continuing flirting if a woman flirts first because they fear rejection or being humiliated. Women also fear being humiliated if a man rejects them too. Some are incredibly socially awkward and have no idea how to communicate with people face to face, including women. Story 7. Dating apps are generally bad for men, but I feel that topic has been done to death, so I'll try to share some other societal observations and anecdotes of our generation relative to prior ones. For a relationship to form, romantic or platonic, two factors are involved: chemistry and exposure. Chemistry is self-explanatory, but if you meet someone and you click, that's chemistry. However, the often overlooked factor is exposure. Put any number of people together in a room for months or years, and eventually a mix of friendships and relationships will form. Case in point, school. Modern adult life doesn't lend itself well to exposure settings after school, since the only settings you typically see the same people repeatedly are work, and nowadays both employees and companies discourage workplace dating. Additionally, the average time an employee spends at a company has decreased compared to previous generations. So, without exposure, you're relying on chemistry to form a romantic bond, which favors naturally extroverted or attractive people. As stated above, the notion of dating in exposure settings has become less favored relative to prior generations. This includes work and even friends. Many people discourage romantic relationships from forming from friendships due to potential risks. While you may agree or disagree with the sentiment, I think as a whole, there is a phenomenon where we want to minimize the fallout radius of any potential relationship, which once again diminishes the settings where one can develop a romantic bond. Building on the first point, there are few accessible third places left in countries like the United States. They are either very focused on an activity, e.g., hobby groups, or have a barrier to entry, e.g., cost, or there's social pressure that these places aren't meant for mingling in that sense, e.g., approaching someone at the gym. A place that meets all three criteria, not specifically focused on a subculture, fairly accessible, and where people are open to mingle is rarer nowadays. So, if you're not going to meet people at work, can't date friends, and aren't in a hobby group that includes people of your preferred gender, where are you meeting folks? Hint. A thread on Reddit asks this almost weekly. Baby boomers are statistically the most divorced generation in modern human history, so Generation X, Millennials, and Generation Z grew up in divorced homes more than any previous generations, which probably, in some way, has warped our collective view of relationships and marriage. In my opinion, one of the fallouts is that we don't want to settle because we've seen or have been the product of the resentment that a less-than-ideal marriage can cause, so we have unrealistically high standards for compatibility or chemistry, or we just don't want to deal with any inconvenience in a relationship. This leads to toxic relationships, avoidant attachment styles, and trauma as a result of said toxic relationships. This isn't an exhaustive list, but I thought I'd share some thoughts. Story 8. Last time I was single, it was because I just did not meet any women I was interested in pursuing a relationship with. That situation went on for about 2.5 years. Story 9. From my point of view, life has become super expensive and hard. So many men and women are too busy studying or working to survive. Therefore, they have become isolated, lonely, and antisocial. Women, go out there and hit on the fellas. Times have changed. Story 10. There are a ton of reasons, but I think a big one is the following. 1. Online dating has been the main way of meeting people for the past decade. Women are notoriously picky when it comes to online dating. Most adult men don't go out to bars or clubs. Just work, gym, groceries, home. There's no chance to meet people. Story 11. Because my wife decided to bottle up the small issues rather than work them out together, she got close to our mutual close friend. Then, when it was clear he liked her, she left me for him. Bear in mind, this was still within the last month for me. But I don't have any trust left for a new partner for a long time. Story 12. I have paused dating after several months of trying with zero success. Women just seem to be chasing the top men and are not interested in average guys. I hope I am wrong and will start asking women out again after a break. Story 13. Societal attitudes are changing. The notion that the only life worth living involves a job, marriage, and family has diminished greatly. Many people just are not interested in relationships. They like the freedom that being single provides. There are plenty of women who feel the same. A friends with benefits situation addresses the desire for sexual intimacy, if you are interested in that, and if that is what you want, it can be found relatively easily. Story 14. Many men I know blame themselves for not being able to afford anything. Takes confidence to approach a girl. People can't even be confident they have enough to pay rent right now. Tears me apart to see my friends like this. Amazing people worn down by this harsh world. Story 15. I am a mid-30s guy, in the best shape of my life, not bad looking at all, with a great job and a kind, funny, laid-back personality. I recently got asked this question by a woman I started talking to. The women who are single nowadays are typically falling into one of a few categories: unhealthy, overweight, single mom, or mentally ill. Statistics from the United States Census data heavily support this. According to that data, only 6.9% of women between the ages of 25 to 35 are single, have no children, and are not overweight. Additionally, the rate of mental illness among the general population is close to 25%, making this number even smaller. I think for men, the statistics are not in our favor in several ways. Men are generally attracted to a relatively large range of women. Probably something like the top 30 to 40% of women are found attractive by men. However, women are much pickier nowadays, only finding the top 10 to 20% of men attractive. Additionally, 63% of men under 30 consider themselves single, compared to 34% of women, according to Pew Research. Culture has shifted away from prioritizing starting a family and settling down to living it up in your 20s. Now, people are trying to date or settle down in their 30s, which means they are trying to fit someone into their far more established life, their career, home, city, etc. Finally, I think instant gratification is more the norm nowadays and very tempting. Many guys are lonely, and even if they are looking for something serious, they aren't having much luck. However, there is typically no shortage of hookup opportunities, which loneliness will drive you to take advantage of. I think it's best to avoid that if you're looking for something serious, but it's tough when you're lonely. Story 16. Every time I match with a girl on a dating app, it's the driest conversation I've ever had. Like, you matched with me, can you at least pretend to be even slightly interested? As a man, I can only speak for myself, but when all I see on social media is all the horrible stuff men do, like choose the bear, kill all men, etc. Yes, those are extremes, but even if it isn't directed towards me specifically, it still hurts to hear day after day. Why would I even be interested in approaching a girl after hearing most of them would seemingly choose a wild animal over us? Even if it's stupid, it's still uncalled for. I guarantee if the tables were turned on this sort of thing, I'd be getting read the riot act. Society has stacked the chips against male confidence. Story 17. I once went on a date with a girl who told me she mainly dated older Asian guys who are investment bankers. But she still went on a date with me, a younger guy who was still in university. Girls don't know what they want. It's better to find one who wants to date you for who you are and is willing to try to keep you. Story 18. I honestly don't see a benefit to dating anymore. Most relationships I know of are in bad shape. I could be in bad shape all by myself. Why complicate it by adding people to it? Story 19. I just got sick of the nonsense, the heartbreak, the inevitable loneliness, and having to pick up the pieces afterward. It's a chore to look for someone, especially since I don't fall into the categories that most women would want to date. I've never had a positive experience approaching a woman. Not one. I don't even bother with that anymore. The few who have found me interesting enough to ask me out and form a relationship with eventually leave anyway. As far as a sex life and companionship, since I rarely had a sex life even with a girlfriend, it's not like I'm missing out on that, and since I've been alone for most of my life anyway, companionship is a rare occurrence that I've given up on finding. At 38, I've only had 2 partners in my adult life, so I know it's not going to be a common thing anyway. So, what's the benefit of trying to find someone? Story 20. I don't feel the need for a relationship. I have everything I need without requiring support from someone else to achieve my house or career aspirations. I enjoy the freedom to do what I want when I want, without interruptions to my peace and harmony. There are enough opportunities to fulfill my sexual needs without the commitment and complications. Now, I understand that not all women bring drama and complications, and perhaps I've made poor choices in the past. However, why should I go through the effort of dating, talking stages, and potential for upset when I can simply enjoy what I already have? Story 21. Girls my age make dating a job application. And they typically have like 6 other guys they are also talking to if they consider you, so you have to win. Story 22. Because many of us have found it easier to be happy without a set of ever-changing standards being a barrier. If I wouldn't let my male best friends curse me out, criticize everything I do, and periodically strike me when they don't think I'm listening well enough, why would I accept it from a female partner? Story 23. I can only talk about myself. I recently matched with a girl on a dating app, and we were scheduling a hookup. I thought we decided on a day, but apparently, she needed extra confirmation but never asked for it. The day comes around, I reach out, and she said she never heard from me, so she made other plans. I apologize and suggest we try again, but she ghosted me. A few weeks later, I saw her profile again, and she added, "Not interested in men with poor communication skills or absent-mindedness," right at the top. It's a shame because we were getting along too. All the men I know have their act together. Every date I've been on with a girl, I come away absolutely flabbergasted at how messed up they are. I think they all grew up interacting only with other women, well, girls. And so many of them were deemed unworthy of a stable friendship by their peers, and that really scars them. This is what I hear every single time I hang out with a girl and ask her about herself. Then they all just carry that baggage around and dump it on their peers. They are also so lonely. But every time they hang out with someone, they decide that guy isn't good enough for their time. They don't know how to communicate with men, anyone outside their social circle. Really? They've been taught to avoid conflict like the plague, and truth be told, I just get the sense they all hate us or don't care about men. They see us as lesser people because we don't spend our entire existence trying to go to brunch with them or listening to their latest relationship gossip. It's so hard to start a conversation with them, unless I'm introduced or play it perfectly right, like romantic comedy levels of acting. Just saying hi to a girl I don't yet know sends them into survival mode. But will a woman ever start something? Oh, she'll hold eye contact a beat too long. She'll get caught looking at you for a moment. She'll deign to interact with you. And these are all supposed to be signals that I'm now allowed to approach her. It's so offensive. Why don't you get off your seat and meet me halfway? And I think similar things are happening with guys. Communication skills are low. Have they ever been really high, though? A lot of baggage can come out at the wrong time, but I really feel like guys are putting out effort despite all that. Guys try. They ask, who do I need to be to make this work out? I don't feel like the ladies ever ask that. I don't know.